back. I hope you're gonna enjoy this video. In this video, we'll be reading books as we usually do, but this time we're doing it where my mom picks the books that I read in this video. I'm really excited for this. I hope you are too. My mom is also really excited about this. She will not be shown in this video, not her face at least, because she doesn't want to be on camera, and we're gonna respect that, we're gonna accept that, so that's not gonna happen. But she is gonna pick 3 books for me to read, and she's already picked the first book because I bought it and I showed her my order and she went like, that is the book that you need to read, because she hasn't stopped talking about that book since she realized that it existed. So that is the first book that we're gonna read. I already have it. It's The Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Laurie Gilmore. That's supposed to be like a mix of Gilmore Girls and cheesy Hallmark Christmas movies, basically. I have never watched Gilmore Girls. My mom has watched a few seasons of Gilmore Girls. She loved it. She also watches a lot of Hallmark movies. She loves those as well. So she went like, if you read this and you enjoy it, I'm gonna read it as well, because I feel like this is the perfect book for fall. Obviously, because this is the cover and this is the title of the book. Like, obviously it's gonna be perfect for fall. That is the first book that we're gonna read. I have rambled on for too long already, so we're just gonna get into it. We're gonna read it. I am really excited. I think I could enjoy this. Goodreads ratings aren't the best, but I don't really follow those ratings because my favorite book of all time was like a 3.8 average rating, and that is my favorite book of all time. So we're not gonna listen to that. I'm gonna form my own opinion, and you'll see what I think about it later when I update you. So let's start reading. I haven't updated for this video. I honestly kind of forgot that I was doing this video, which is bad, but also I haven't done much reading since I first started this video, so I wanted to update you on the progress that I did make in the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. I am now this far into the book. I've read this much, I think. Yes, that much. I'm on chapter 16, page 157, so I think I'm about halfway. I don't know what it is, but I feel like I'm going into a reading slump, and I'm not happy with that, because who wants to be in a reading slump, you know? But especially not now. I just started uploading more, and I feel like I do need to put some reading vlogs out there, and it's just really annoying that I'm not really in the mood to read, but I haven't done much reading because of that. I did do some reading today, and I feel like I'm getting into the groove of things again. It was like the tiniest book slump ever. Updates on this book. I did want to tell you a little bit about the plot, because there is a little bit of an underlying mystery in this. This is a romance, pure romance, but there is like an underlying mystery in it that does get solved very early on in the book, but it's still a fun time to read about. The first part of the mystery was basically this girl, Jeannie, she moves into this apartment above the Pumpkin Spice Cafe, I think. Her aunt gives her the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. She has to work there. She is the owner now. And she hears this scratching and howling, I think, at night. So she's like, oh my god, this house is haunted. This is not okay. Like, there's someone trying to break in or something. She meets this guy, Logan, the love interest, and he helps her out with that little problem that she has. He helps her figure out what is haunting her, if something is haunting her, what is going on. I don't know what the rest of this book holds. I am kind of scared because a lot of people don't really like this book. This has a 3.43 average rating on Goodreads, I think. That is not high at all. That is very low, actually. So I'm scared because right now it's giving 4-star feelings. I'm really enjoying it. I don't hate any of the characters. I actually like them. I feel like the romance is very pure. I did hear a lot of people say that they didn't enjoy Logan. I don't know if that is by the end of this book or for the whole book, because if those people didn't like him for the whole book, I'm safe. But if they didn't like him for the last half of the book, or like the last few pages of the book, I'm in trouble, because I am scared that I'm not gonna like him as well. Because now I think I'm not gonna like him, so I'm gonna search for things that I may not like about it. But for the rest, again, I'm really enjoying this book. I've been talking for 4 minutes. This is not okay. If this is gonna go the way that I expect it to, definitely gonna buy the Cinnamon Button bookstore, because these titles and these covers are just so atmospheric. My mom really wants to read this book as well, and I think if this book ends up being really good, I will definitely recommend it to her. But I think that was the update for now. I am really enjoying it. That is the general conclusion to this update. Really enjoying it. I don't think and don't hope that things will change, but you never know. So I'm just going to continue reading now, and the next time I'll update you is when I got a little farther into the book or I have finished the book. It has been 2 days, I think, like 2 full days. Did finish the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. I don't understand why this book has such a low rating on Goodreads, because I really enjoyed this book. I gave it 4 stars. Honestly, I read some reviews and I don't see what they see. They felt like they didn't see the chemistry between these characters. They didn't like the male main character. I did. If you didn't like this book, you can fault me for it. I don't care, but I did enjoy him. I didn't think he was a dick or anything. I just liked this book overall. It was very cozy, loved the vibes of it. It gave very much fall, festival kind of vibes, and I was so here for it. I need more of these atmospheric books. But I don't think this book should have this low of a rating on Goodreads. And I honestly expected to like it a little less than I did. I was expecting to give it like a 3, a 3.5 maybe, but a 4-star, that's a very, very solid rating. I still think very fondly of this book. I love that my mom picked this, and I am definitely gonna recommend this one to her. But now, she has to pick another book for me. So the plan for now is, I am going to choose some books from my TBR. I'm gonna choose, I think, like 5 books from here. I'm gonna show them to my mom because my mom doesn't want to be in the video. So I'm gonna show them to my mom. I'm gonna pick some books. I'm gonna go downstairs. And then afterwards, I'm gonna tell you what she chose. I have a few books on here that I'm like, okay, I am almost 100% sure that she will choose that one. So I don't want it to be too obvious. Let's do a dark romance. The Fucking Wrong Guy, let's do that one. I don't think she's gonna choose it, but it's like a fun one to put in there. I think I'm gonna do Unsteady in there as well, because this is a sports romance, and I know that she loves romance. So I am almost 100% sure that she's gonna pick a romance and not a fantasy, because I do want to put a fantasy in there, but I don't think she's gonna choose a fantasy. I'm gonna put Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies in there as well. That's 3, so 2 more books. I have 1 more fantasy and then a regular romance. So I have How Does It Feel by Janine O'Reilly. I just recently got this, and I am really interested in it, obviously, because I bought it. And also Two Wrongs Make a Right by Chloe Lees. Oh, it's a little bit damaged. Oh, that's sad. I have a strong suspicion that she's gonna pick this one, but I don't know what else to put on here, because I do have some fantasies, but I could also switch this one for that one. I'm gonna switch this one, sorry, for The Favor. I feel like the chances that she's gonna pick any of these are pretty similar to one another, and with that one, there's like people on the cover. I feel like she's more leaning towards this one if she chooses one. So we're gonna put this one away. Final roundup. We have The Fucking Wrong Guy, Unsteady, Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, The Favor, and How Does It Feel? So those are the books that I'm gonna let her choose from. I'll come back to you when I have the final pick. We'll see. Okay, so last time I updated you was when I said that my mom would pick the next book. She did choose that one. I already showed you a clip of me holding that book. But basically, she chose The Fucking Wrong Guy by C.R. Jane, which was a huge surprise to me, honestly, because I did not expect her to pick a dark romance. But when I asked her, she was like, oh my god, is that a dark romance? Should I regret picking that one? Because she's not into that dark stuff at all. She's just into light, fluffy romances. But still, she chose this one because she thought it sounded right up my alley. She thought it sounded like something that I would enjoy. So I started it, and I am now 167 pages into it. I'm on chapter 13. I want to start off by saying it's been a few days, and that I have been in a reading slump. And I think I already mentioned it when I finished the Pumpkin Spice Cafe, because that took me a lot of days to finish for my standards. So now I have been reading this book for 4 days maybe, and I still haven't gotten halfway through. But for the book, I am enjoying it, but it's not as good as the first book in the series was. The characters, very different from the first book, so I like that. But also, I feel like the male main character in the first book was a lot more serious and grumpy, I guess. And he's not grumpy at all. He's like sunshine in a person. He thinks some things, and he does and says some things that I'm like, it's kind of childish, not gonna lie. It's fun. It's kind of cringe, a cliche time, but it's a fun time nonetheless. So I am here for it. It's not gonna be a 4-star like the first book in the series was. And also, this male main character is not as crazy as the one in the first book was, because the one in the first book, things could still change. The one in the first book was crazy through the whole book, but then at the end, it got a little too intense for me, even, as someone who really enjoys dark romance. Do you think that that will not happen in this book? Because that's kind of unoriginal to just repeat something that has already been done in the first book in the series and the second book. I can tell you a little bit about this book. So it is about Ari, and Ari is the male love interest, and about Blake. So Ari and Blake have known each other for a few years, but they haven't been in contact and they haven't seen each other in a while because they were in the same, I think, foster home or something or like a group home. They were in the same group home because they both didn't have parents anymore. Now they get separated. Ari, he sees an advertisement on the road while he's on the road that has Blake in it. But Blake was also called Layla before, but that's not her name anymore because her adoptive parents changed that name. She has like this not very good relationship with people. She doesn't have a good relationship with herself. So she is trying to not hate herself as much anymore. And he is helping her do that. But also, he's crazy. He stalks her. She doesn't know that he stalked her before. And he does some crazy thing. He does something with her phone so her boyfriend is not in her contacts anymore. It is kind of, I'm gonna say it again, crazy. It's kind of unhinged. So if that doesn't sound like your type of thing, don't read this because you're not gonna like this book. You're gonna feel kind of icky, to be honest. It is a good book and it is dark romance, but there are also some triggering things in this, and I didn't know that going into it. I read the trigger warnings at the beginning and I was like, shit, all those triggers are ones that I'm triggered by. I was like, ooh, this is gonna be interesting, I guess. I started it and I didn't find it as bad as I thought it would be. So there aren't like major descriptions. I don't know if that will happen in the next part of the book, but there weren't some like major descriptions. I will update you on that if there are some major descriptions of those things. I cannot tell you what it is because it's a spoiler, but I will tell you that. That's basically what the book is about. That's what I think of it. I hope you enjoyed this update. And now I think I'm gonna do some reading, maybe do some editing for a video because I haven't got a video planned for tomorrow and there needs to be a video up by tomorrow. I have filmed one, but I still need to edit it and that stuff. I need to make the thumbnail. So that is the plan for now. I will see you when I see you. It's a little bit dark, so I had to add some extra lighting. I wanted to update this video earlier this afternoon, but alas, that didn't happen, and I have a good reason. So first off, I did finish The Fucking Wrong Guy. I rated this a 3.5, but there were some things that I would have changed if I had wrote this book, but just some things that I think would have made this book a little bit better. And it's so easy to talk about the negative things and the things that you want to add instead of the positives. But I really enjoyed the writing style. That was a good part of the story. I enjoyed these characters. I love that our main character was unhinged, that he was also cute. He was kind of childish, but in a good way. I like that about it. So I like the characters overall, but I felt like the way the story was constructed, there could have been more scenes in between certain scenes. First of all, Ari was in a group home and it hadn't been made clear if he was ever adopted or if he stayed in that group home until he was 18. That was basically never said. So that got me confused. I didn't notice it up until the end and I was like, did they ever talk about that? It was mentioned a few times, like, oh yeah, the group home, blah, 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 blah. But no backstory whatsoever. There was a little bit of backstory about Blake's side of things. Like, she did get adopted. I'm sure of that because her adoptive parents were mean ass shit. About Ari, nothing was made clear and it just confused me. It also seemed like he didn't have any lingering trauma or something, and you don't have to have trauma. But still, I think it would have made a difference in your personality, you know? It would have made a difference on how you thought about things. And I didn't feel like that affected him. That just felt a little bit unrealistic. I cannot believe that I'm saying this because I never say this, but I think this book could have really benefited from a past timeline, so we could have had a more clear view. This book would have been longer, but I don't think that would have mattered in the long run because it would have made things more clear, because I didn't feel like things were fleshed out enough for me to be able to understand the full emotion that was going on behind this. But also, yeah, I'm gonna say a lot of things, don't you worry. There were some characters introduced to us in the beginning of this book or just throughout the book that we never heard from again. And those were characters that were not very nice to our girl Blake. And I hate those people for that, but there was a mention of a frenemy, and I was like, okay, so we're gonna see some progress in that frenemy situation, I guess. Maybe they'll turn into friends, maybe the other character will change or something like that. But she was mentioned one time in the beginning of this book and never talked about again. And you could have just left that out if you hadn't planned on using anything about that character further into the book. The relationship between these two characters, I felt like that was a solid point of the book. But the things around it, there were some instances where stuff happened, where a fight broke out, for example, and it wasn't talked about anymore, and it just felt like it didn't happen at all, because I literally thought I skipped over a huge part of the story, because I was like, huh? This doesn't seem right. Why is this happening right now when that has just happened, when it hasn't been resolved or talked about anymore, and it just felt not well fleshed out. I think there could have been a lot more details added into it. It didn't take anything away from the story, but I did feel like it could have made the story better if we got those things. Oh my god, I've been talking for 7 minutes. I'm sorry. I need to talk about the next book because my mom also picked the next book, but this book, 3.5, it was a solid read. Not as good as the first book, but it was still good. Oh yeah, and also, I said that I would mention if there was any detail about the trigger warnings. There was like 1 or 2 more detailed scenes, but not enough for me to be extremely triggered by it. So I feel like if these things, if you are mildly triggered by them, I think it could potentially still be okay to read it. So that was the packing run guy. I have talked for 8 minutes now. Okay, that's great. So that was my thoughts. The next book that my mom picked out. So a little change of plans here. We're gonna read 4 books in this video instead of 3. Because the book that my mom picked out is a continuation of a series that I already started in this video. We're gonna read The Cinnamon Bun Bookstore by Laurie Gilmore. This is the second book in the Dream Harbor or something? I don't know what the series is called actually. My mom really wanted me to read this book, but I was like, I cannot make a video where I read essentially like 2 books because 2 of the books are in a series. So I didn't feel like I could do that. So we're adding another book that is a different book, not in the same series as The Fucking Wrong Guy or something like that. We're picking 4 books instead. So I just wanted to make that clear, but we're gonna read this book now. That is the next read. I really hope this is gonna be good. I hope this is gonna be 4 stars as well. So I'm just really, really excited for this one. I don't know how far I'll get into it tonight. I hope to at least get like 50 pages into it. I feel like that is achievable, and I don't want to set my expectations too high because then I will disappoint myself and I will get even further into this reading slump. The plan for tonight is to read this and get 50 pages into it at least, and yeah, I'll update you when I can. I've made some progress in the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore, and I'm really excited to talk about it because I'm really, really enjoying it. I am now on page 139, so I'm almost halfway. I'm not halfway yet, but I'm almost halfway. And it is really, really cute. I love it. Honestly, I'm loving this more than the Pumpkin Spice Cafe, and I didn't expect to love it as much as I'm enjoying it right now. Because the Pumpkin Spice Cafe obviously was a 4 stars. We already talked about that. And then this one, it's not giving 5 star. Like in the beginning, I was like, oh my god, is this gonna be 5 star? But that was like for the first 10 pages. It's not giving 5 stars anymore, but it is definitely giving like 4.25, maybe even 4.5 if it gets even better. And it's just such a cute read. And I love the chemistry between these characters. I just love them together, and I get so giddy when I think about them. The first scene that we see them together, I could instantly feel the connection that they had and could feel the chemistry that they had with each other. What this book is about, basically, it's about Hazel. And Hazel is this kind of shy girl. She doesn't leave her bookshop much. She doesn't like to be outside. She doesn't like summer because she gets sunburned and stuff. She doesn't do a lot of fun stuff in her opinion. So she wants to do more. Now, there's a little mystery because someone kind of defiles the books in her bookstore and she's like, what the fuck? So she reads the line that they marked. So some lines were marked in the book. So she reads the lines. She was like, is this like a hint of what I should do right now? These books start showing up more and more and more. And she's like, oh my god, is this for me? Is this meant for me? So it's kind of a mystery of who has done that and who is doing that still. Noah, the male love interest in this, he helps her kind of do the stuff that the person who underlined the things told her to do, basically, in the books. They just do these fun things together that Hazel wouldn't normally do. She's also doing it with Noah, so that's where the romance comes in. I am so intrigued to continue this book and what is going on for the rest of the book. I'm also so interested in knowing who is the one that is defiling these books. And also, this was mentioned in the Pumpkin Spice Cafe as well, but Noah, he has had a crush on Hazel for a while, and he buys her books out of her bookstore so he can talk to her. And he isn't really interested in books, but he still reads them, and he still buys them because he wants to see her. Oh my god, that's just so cute, and that is what I wanted to mention as well. I'm gonna continue this book. I hope I can do an update when I'm over halfway. Not when I'm finished, but when I'm over halfway. But we'll see about that. Like, the most important thing is that I do an update in between the beginning and the end. Because I feel like if I don't do an update, it's kind of, that's not right for me. When I have some concrete thoughts about this, I will update you. But otherwise, I'll see you when I have finished the book. You haven't noticed this, but it's been a week since I updated because of the fact that I didn't read much. I did film a clip saying that I finished the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore. I did say what I thought of it, but I deleted that because I wasn't happy with that. I also started a new book that my mom picked out, also filmed a clip for that, but I hated it, so I deleted that as well. We're gonna talk about the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore first of all because I want to give you my final thoughts and ratings. So I ended up rating this 4 stars, which it was a kind of a lower 4-star. It was still a 4-star, but it was kind of a lower 4-star because I just noticed a lot of things that annoyed me in this book. This is definitely not the only book that does this or uses this thing, but I noticed it a lot in this book and it got really repetitive. It's basically when these two characters have like a purely sexual, physical relationship. They don't have an emotional relationship, but actually they do, but they pretend that they don't. But then there's one of them or both of them that want to admit to the other that they have feelings. This guy, Noah, he wanted to admit to her, to Hazel, that he had feelings for her. So he would go like, okay, I'm gonna tell her now. But then something would come in the way of him telling her. He'll be like, okay, I'll say it to her next time. So next time comes around, he's like, okay, I'm gonna say it now. Again, something happens, he doesn't say it, and that went on for the last half of the book, which got really repetitive really quickly. And I was just like, get on with it. This book could have easily been 50 pages less, and I would have liked it more if that had happened. So it's still a 4-star because of the fact that I really did enjoy this. I really thought it was cute. I thought the characters were really fun to read about. I like their chemistry. I thought the adventures that they went on are really cute. I love that. It was adorable. But for now, that was my thoughts on this. I will come back to it on my final reviews of all of the books, but I won't talk about it too much on there. That is all I wanted to say about this book. So I let my mom pick a book. I picked 3 fantasy books because I wanted some variety in this video. So I chose 3 fantasy books that she had to choose from. I picked How Does It Feel, which I already showed in the previous clip. Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, I think. And then this book that I'm reading right now, I'll show it to you. It's The Ever King by L.J. Andrews. I was really hoping that she would pick this, and I'm very happy that she did. Here's the thing. I have been reading this for the past week. I've gotten up to page 58. That's how much I've read. And I honestly don't know what it is. I honestly don't know if it's because I'm in this huge ass reading slump. I think that is part of the reason why I'm not really getting through this. Or is it because of the book, that I need to get into the book, or that I'm not really loving the book? Because it could go either way, but I don't know, but I was really hoping that I would love this, and so far it's not hitting for me, but that could again be because of the reading slump. So I will not judge it too harshly right now because I am not far into it at all. I've read this much, I still have this much to go. I'm hoping I can get to at least page 150 today because I have time to read today. I can tell you a little bit about the plot. It's a little bit of a twisted tale, you know, it's kind of darker than the usual fantasy romance. But it's basically about these 2 people. They have met before when they were children. They were on opposing sides of the war, and one side won and the other side lost, basically. This guy, he turned into this evil king, and this girl, she's a princess of this opposing side of the land, basically. Now, something happened, and that causes the Ever King, this guy, Eric, to be able to cross over to her land. He wants to get revenge on the king of that country, I guess, or like that side of the land. So that's basically what we're following. That's a very loose explanation. Like, that's not the full thing that was going on. I am enjoying the storyline. It's just not hitting for me as I hoped it would in the first few pages, but that's more often with fantasy than not. Also, there's some art in this book. Like, can I show you? Look. Art. Ah, that's so pretty. I was so shocked when I opened this book and I saw art. There's more. There's not a lot, but there is some art. And it's just so fucking pretty. Okay, but it's basically a romance between this Eric guy and I forgot her name. I'll be reading this. So, that was the update. I'll see you when I see you. I don't even know what I was about to say, but I've read a few more pages. So, the 2 main characters have just met. They've just been introduced to each other. He knows who she is. She doesn't know who he is. They're instantly attracted to each other. The chemistry is literally sparking off the page. And I'm so happy about that because with a lot of romances or fancy romances, whatever, I have that the chemistry just, it's there, but it's not something that is very noticeable. But in this case, I can feel the chemistry. I can feel that these two are just compatible to each other. So that's a good thing. I am really liking that. But that's basically all I wanted to say. But I wanted to come in on here and say that because I just thought it was a fun time to see that. So maybe I should take this off first because first of all, this, and then my headphones are underneath it. So I literally can't hear shit. Okay. Yay, here we are. Now that we look okay again, I can give you an update because I have been reading The Ever King, but not as much as I hoped I would. I just don't know what to feel about this book because I'm liking it, but I keep putting it down and then I have no desire to pick it up. But when I'm reading it, I am enjoying it just fine. It feels like a 3-star read or like 3.25. But then I put it down and I'm like, nah, I don't really care for it. I checked some fan art online and I checked some thoughts of other people and I was like, I am so disappointed that I'm not really loving this book because I want to love this book so fucking bad, but it's just not happening. It's not happening. But basically what they have done is just a lot of traveling by boat. They made a few stops, I guess, and then they encountered like a battle. They uncovered some magical elements, I guess. It was like, it's the perfect setup for a book that I would love, but somehow I'm just not loving it. And I don't know if it's because of the reading slump, because it could very well be because of the reading slump, because this reading slump is beating my ass down. I am invested in the romance. I can definitely feel the chemistry between these two characters. I just don't really know what I'm feeling at the moment. That is where it lands. I wrote some thoughts down, so I'm gonna search those up before I update further. I checked my thoughts that I previously had and now I know what I wanted to talk about again. I thought this was an arranged marriage type of thing, that her father would basically marry her off to this other kingdom, to this other king in this kingdom. I thought it definitely hinted that that was going to happen, but it didn't end up happening like that at all, and I was kind of surprised but also not mad about it because the Ever King, Eric, he kidnapped her. It was not an arranged marriage, not at all. She's with him, she's having a grand old time, and her father's probably worrying, but I don't think her father is a good person. We'll see about that though. There are some cringer scenes which I noticed more in the beginning, because in the first like 100 pages, I noticed some things where I was like, ooh, please don't do that. Basically not gone, but it got a lot less towards the middle of the book, which I'm at right now. I think I've already told you what this book was about, so I don't think I have any more to say. I don't know when I'll update you next because I don't know when I'll finish this book. If I finish this book tonight or somewhere tomorrow morning, I probably won't update. But if I have like a good update for you, I will update. But otherwise, you will see me when I finish the book. Finished The Ever King. Okay, that's amazing. That's great because it took me more than a week, as I've said in my previous clips. But basically, I think I'm gonna land on a 3.25 star rating because it was good, but it wasn't amazing. And some parts of the story, I was like, oh my god, I'm so invested. I want to see further what this is gonna be, what is going on. But then other parts, I was so bored. And that was around the 250 page mark. I got so bored that I seriously considered DNFing the book, even when I said that I was enjoying it previously. But then I went to bed and I read some in bed, and then I read more than 100 pages because of the fact that I was enjoying it all of a sudden. I don't know if it's the reading slump, if it's the book, because that could also be the problem, but I don't think it is. but it could also be the noises that were around me, and that is the reason that I couldn't focus, and that is also the reason why I didn't like it. If I had really focused on this book, it could have been a higher rating, but that is my fault. That's not the book's fault, because I do really enjoyed the story. I really enjoyed the aspects of the story, not everything, because I've already said all of that. Overall, it was just a fun time. A 3.25 feels like a good rating, because at some parts I, again, was seriously considering to DNF it, and at other parts that I wasn't considering DNFing it, I was like, okay, this is like a 2-star read, maybe. But then at other parts, I was so invested, and I thought, oh my god, 4.5. So my thoughts, my opinions were all over the place with this book. I still don't really know if my rating is a good rating for this book. I am definitely gonna continue the series though, because I feel like the second book, I cannot stop with this book, because the ending, that was a cliffhanger. Love that. No, I don't, because I hate one certain trope, and I was like, is this gonna happen in this book? And it did happen in this book, so I was kind of disappointed, but it is what it is. So I still need to read the second book, but I don't know how much I'm gonna enjoy that because of the last scene. Those were my thoughts on this book. A 3.25, not a bad rating at all, not a good rating to me either, but it was a fine book. So now we need to go over all of the books that we read in this video, because we're ending this video. This is the roundup of what we read in this video. So the first book that we read was The Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Laurie Gilmore. This was a very fun read. I really enjoyed it, and I was surprised that I enjoyed it as much as I did. I liked the romance. I thought the chemistry was definitely there between these characters. Of course, there are some flaws to these characters, but there are flaws with everyone. So I didn't really mind the flaws that these characters had. I liked them because it felt more realistic. So I really like this book, a 4-star read. I don't have anything negative to say about this book per se. I think I've established my thoughts in the previous clips when I talked about this book. Then we read The Parking Wrong Guy by C.R. Jane. This was a 3.5-star read. It was a good book, but I was a little bit disappointed by it because I enjoyed the first book as much as I did. But it was still a fine book. Do check trigger warnings. I've already said my piece about the trigger warnings, about the things that happened, so yeah. And this was just a fun read, but also a little heavier read. I do think there was an important message behind this book, and I really enjoyed that message. And this book was not as crazy as the first book, still a little crazy. And I think this book, the last scene, I think that was a bonus epilogue or something, or a bonus scene. It really had a good start for a setup for the next book, so I'm really excited to dive into the next book. After that, we read The Cinnamon Bun Bookstore by Laurie Gilmore as well. And I enjoyed this, and I think my enjoyment at the beginning, at the first half, was a lot more than A Pumpkin Spice Cafe. But towards the middle and towards the end, it lowered. I don't know what to feel about this book. I really enjoyed it. I still enjoyed it, but the more I thought about it, the more flaws I could see, the more things I wanted to remark on that I didn't necessarily love. It was still a 4-star read. A little bit of a lower 4-star read compared to The Pumpkin Spice Cafe, but I will definitely read the third book, The Christmas Tree Farm, in the series as well. I also will read the... what was that other... the Strawberry Patch Pancake House? But those are my thoughts. And the last book, already talked about it, so this was a little extra book because of the fact that we read a series in this video. The Ever King by L.J. Andrews. Already established my thoughts. A 3.25-star read. That may change though because of the fact that I'm really conflicted about my thoughts right now. But I still enjoyed it, and I will continue the series. Damn, okay. That video took way too long to film, but I hope you enjoyed nonetheless. I hope you got some recommendation out of this maybe, and I hope you enjoyed watching me. So, if you enjoyed this video, like it and subscribe if you want to see more of me, and I sincerely hope I see you next time. Bye-bye!